On this edition of Inside Indiana Business, hope for an urban area that's been drowning for decades. How Bloomington-based Cook Medical is transforming Indy's northeast side with a new manufacturing facility. Plus, the strategy to attract more companies like Israeli-based Mammoth Solar to plant roots in Hoosier soil. Details on Indiana's first ever Global Economic Summit and how it could pump new money into the state's economy. And a toast to the wine trough. Clinking glasses with this self-professed mamapreneur who is serving locally sourced food and libations to folks across the state and making quite a sizzle. Inside Indiana Business starts now.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry. It has been years in the making, and now a unique partnership between Bloomington-based Cook Medical and Goodwill Industries, bringing hope to an underserved neighborhood on the near northeast side of Indianapolis. A $15 million medical device manufacturing facility will mean jobs, free education, and community ownership. With more on the new manufacturing investment, I'm pleased to welcome back to the show Cook Medical and Cook Group President Pete Yonkman. And Pete, welcome.
Gerry, it's great to be with you again.
I want to talk about this unique investment in a moment, but you've got the device, the medical device that will be manufactured at that facility with you. Give us, let us see that device and what it's all about, why you're doing it at this new facility.
Yeah, I have that here, Gerry. This is a product that unfortunately has been in high demand for us over the last few years. This is called a Blue Rhino Percutaneous Tracheostomy device. And what this product does is it allows people to come off a trach tube. So people who are having trouble breathing are often on a ventilator. They have a tube that goes down their throat, through their vocal cords, and it causes a lot of distress. This allows physicians to go in a much more minimally invasive way and allow that breathing for patients. So it's been in high demand. We desperately need that capacity. I can tell you we'll be happy one day when the demand goes back to normal for this product.
Yeah, so an important product for you at this new northeast side Indianapolis plant. But this is an investment that really goes beyond the dollars, the jobs, and the opportunity there. But this is about really supporting a community in so many ways. Talk about the idea, the model behind this, because this is about folks in the community being the employees there and really taking literally ownership of the whole project.
Yeah, this building is obviously a beautiful new state-of-the-art medical device manufacturing facility, but it's so much more than that. It means 100 new jobs for people in the community. I talked to the first 20 employees. Many of them are walking to work. They're riding their bike to work. It's right in the middle of the community. People are going to have access to free education. Goodwill will run and operate this facility, which means they bring their wraparound services. So things like life coaches, people who can help them coordinate if you're coming out of prison, help them coordinate schedules, get a license, find a place to live. It really is more of a holistic approach to how can we be part of a community and help build up the skills and the resources that people need to make this community a successful place.
Yeah, I know as part of this too, there's a grocery store that you're building in the area there that will support the area that will ultimately be owned and operated by a couple of area entrepreneurs, neighborhood entrepreneurs. That's an important piece of this as well.
No doubt. So what we learned from being in the community was that the area we're in is a food desert. There are upwards of 100,000 people who don't have easy access to a grocery store. All 5 of the big box grocery stores left in the last 5 years. And so when you talk to people, they're going to the gas station to find food. They can't find fruits and vegetables. You can't have, just from a business perspective, you can't have a workforce that can't have easy access to food, but you can't have a community that doesn't have access to food. So we partner with 2 local entrepreneurs, 2 great guys who grew up in the community. They were trying to build a grocery store. They had a few years into it, but they were struggling. They couldn't get the supply chain. So we brought our ability to build buildings. We know about supply chain, and we're going to be having a brand new grocery store, 15,000 square foot, full service grocery store, right next to our manufacturing plant, right in the middle of the community. And it's going to be owned and operated by 2 local entrepreneurs. And that to me is an example of if everybody brings their best to the table, we bring our skills, they bring theirs, the community brings their resources, We can solve these problems. These obstacles are not too big to overcome. These barriers can be broken down, and we've seen that with these partnerships that we have.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of underscore, and you mentioned this earlier, but the employees, it's a diverse workforce from the immediate area. You've met those goals of really having it all from the immediate area there. So that impact, and it's estimated at $26 million. It'll extend beyond the neighborhood, but so much of it will be right there nearby.
Tens of millions of dollars of economic input coming back into a community that had not seen investment. They had not seen opportunity like this before. You talked about the workforce. As I said, people are coming from the neighborhood. So many of them are walking in. And what that means is you can be integrated into the community. You're not just driving off somewhere to do a job. We set a goal of reaching 100% minority contractors on the build of this facility. We reached that. And I think that's another important part about that. We have dozens of people now who are able to come into the construction industry because of this project who had never been in it before. And they're on their pathway to high-paying careers, because if you think about it locally and try to include the local community, you can really get people on the path toward upward mobility.
I think a lot of companies and folks will be watching the progress of this unique partnership, because I think it is interesting indeed and can have real impact. Pete Yonkman, the president of Cook Medical and Cook Group, thanks for joining us and good luck with the project.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, whether he is courtside doing TV play-by-play for an Indiana Pacers game or on the call in Turn 4 at the Indianapolis 500, Chris Denary has it covered to a T. He's my guest on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast. Denary has been part of the Indiana sports broadcasting scene for nearly 40 years. He spent the past 16 years doing play-by-play on TV for the Pacers. Denary's biggest broadcast challenge, calling the action in Turn 4 on race day without being able to see all the way around the track.
It's as much trust that you have in a broadcast as anything that I've ever done, because the person before you, or maybe two stops before you, they're your eyes and ears. And so you really have to rely on them for how you call that race.
One of the real nice guys in the business, Chris Denary, my guest on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast, and you can find it beginning Monday at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Israel-based Mammoth Solar said yes to Indiana just a few years ago and is now building the largest solar farm in the nation, Northwest Indiana. How the state hopes the first ever Global Economic Summit can lead to more investment. That's next. Well, it is a first of its kind event in Indiana, the Indiana Global Economic Summit. It will be held race weekend in Indianapolis and is billed as really a showcase for innovation, disruptive technology, new economy thinking. From the former CEO of Google to a Nobel Prize nominee, the event will attract big names and a global spotlight to Indiana. And with more on the summit and what it could mean for the state, pleased to be joined by Indiana Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers. And Brad, as always, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
This is an idea, this global summit, that I know has been percolating for a couple of years, delayed by the pandemic. But this is something that I know you've wanted to do for a while.
Exactly. I give credit where credit's due. Jim Schellinger, former secretary, came up with this idea with this IEDC team, and then COVID got in the way.
Yeah.
And when the team brought it to me on last fall, it fit perfectly with our 5E strategy about external engagement, telling the Indiana story to the world, and leaning into all the great things that are going on about in Indiana. So.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this, because this is really, by all indications, going to be a blockbuster event based on the number of registrations you have, the number of people who are going to be here attending it, and also the speakers.
That's right. We have had 800 people register for this event. We have had to close registration. We've got 25 countries participating. So taking Indiana to the world, the governor likes to say he wants to take Indiana to the world and bring the world to Indiana. Well, the world is coming to Indiana at the end of May.
Yeah, again, former CEO of Google among those ambassadors from a number of destinations. And it's race weekend. So what a perfect weekend to showcase innovation, showcase Indianapolis and an international event as well.
That's right. Well, Indiana has got a DNA of hospitality, right? We're hospitable Hoosiers, we're humble Hoosiers. And so there is no better way to showcase Indiana's hospitality than bringing the world to Indiana and throwing on a thought conversation about innovation and the future of sustainability and the future of our economy. And having it done over our International Race Weekend. So we're super excited, and the guests are excited. They're really excited to be here.
What will be success in your view? I mean, it's going to put a global spotlight for sure on Indianapolis and Indiana. That relationship building, I'm sure, is going to be a big part of it as well.
That's right. So typically these events happen on the coast, right? On California or New York or Boston. And so they don't happen a lot in the Midwest. And so what we want to come away from this event is a demonstration of Hoosier hospitality, a demonstration of the deep talent and innovation happening in Indiana, and then converting those conversations into action. There's a lot of these conversations that happen globally, and it's all talk. Indiana is a state with Midwestern values and takes that talk and converts it to action. So we really want to take these innovative conversations from these global thought leaders, distill them in Indiana, and then put them into action for the betterment of our world, really.
Do you sense that this comes at a time of momentum when it comes to global connectivity, if you will? I know you and the governor are just back from a trip to, I think, Sweden and the UK and some meetings there, that this kind of adds to that momentum.
It does, and I will tell you, the governor's done 11 trips, I've done 3, and the engagement and the appreciation that is expressed when we go to see Saab in Sweden or Rolls-Royce in England, and all these new companies that are evaluating their United States strategy. The reception we get, the engagement we get, and the friendship we build makes a difference in our economic growth and our future. So these are important conversations, whether they're over there or they're here, and we're just super excited to have it here in our home state and to showcase the talent, the people. And the innovation going on in our universities and just our companies everywhere. It's really exciting.
Will you use this, I assume you will, as basically a sales tool going forward too, pointing to this summit and the things that will come out of it as you're, again, trying to attract investment and jobs from around the globe? The fact that you put on this global summit that typically is on the coast, happening right here in the middle part of the country.
Yeah, more of a statement than I think a sales tool. The statement is, Indiana is recognized globally, and people come and want to hear the story of Indiana and the innovation that's available here, and the value alignment that comes from those global partnerships that we have. So the speaker lineup is fantastic. As you said, Eric Schmidt from Google. We have high-level execs from our local companies and Lilly and others, Amazon. So. Shell Oil. I mean, it's just fabulous. Roger Pinsky's going to be there. It's going to be a great event.
Looking forward to it. The Global Economic Summit. It will be May 26th through the 29th. Indy 500 weekend here. We'll have a lot of coverage on Inside Indiana Business as well. Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers, as always, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this week, Warsaw-based OrthoWorks received a grant from Lilly Endowment to help support efforts to promote the city as the orthopedic capital of the world. The nonprofit and the Orthopedics Capital Foundation say the grant could total as much as $2.3 million over 3 years. Lilly has supported the effort since 2009 when it provided $7 million, a grant, to help launch OrthoWorks and the Orthopedics Capital Foundation. OCF and OrthoWorks say they've created a new strategic plan that focuses on the community impact of smaller growth companies in the medical device field. Well, up next, wine on wheels, how a Noblesville woman turned her obsession with wine and a desire to own a food truck into a booming business. Here's what's making news now around Indiana. After a long stint in real estate, Lacey Clark decided she was ready to quit corporate America and pursue her 10-year dream, owning a food truck. And not just any food truck, but a trough. Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redmond has details.
One might call it wine on wheels, or the best invention since sliced bread. A mobile bar that quite literally brings the party to you.
I do. We do 8-ounce pours. That's true.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
The Wine Trough is the brainchild of self-professed mamapreneur Lacey Clark. And since opening for business less than a year ago, her trough has traveled to just about every corner of Indiana, quickly becoming a hit at Hoosier venues across the state.
We are a mobile wine bar. We also do beer and spirits, and we do charcuterie.
Charcuterie on steroids, that is.
We have boards, we have charcuterie, and then we also have charcuterie tables. Our tables are filled from, 10-foot long boards all the way up into layers.
And you do these yourself?
I do, yeah. At first I wasn't sure about them, but now that we've really gotten the hang of it, my son will come into the kitchen and he helps me make the meat roses. That's his favorite. So we do this together. It's a lot of fun. We use as much local produce and protein as we can and fill it with carbs and vegetables.
And for Hoosiers out there that truly value the concept of shopping local, the Wine Trough is the state's only traveling bar that sources locally.
We like local a lot. We like to support local in everything that we can. So we carry local wines. We have everything from the local wood that was used in our bar to my son and I actually putting this flooring in ourselves. We had a local guy that came in that does the carpentry that cut out our shelves, and we use local wine and we use local produce. So we're just big on supporting local.
And Clark tells me although the Wine Trough is work, at the end of the day, it's a family affair. So perhaps, in some cases, if you really put yourself out there, it is possible to have it all.
My family is full of entrepreneurs. I am not shy to start something that I think will do well or will flourish or help people out. So I was definitely very spirited about it. My husband will tell you that I bought it, and within 3.5 weeks we had our first event. So I had all my permits in place and everything you see inside of here done in about 3.5 weeks. So it was interesting, but I think we've had a very, very receptive community. Everyone has loved what we've done. We've heard nothing but good feedback. And again, we're supporting the local wineries to keep them open during COVID. So it's not just about us, it's really about who we're supporting and keeping our money where we're working.
Clark has another traveling food and wine truck that will hit the road this summer. She says this latest iteration is a literal horse trough she got from a farm friend in Noblesville. You can check out Lacey's story or book her for your next event at winetrough.com. Well, also making news around the state this week, a big shot in the arm for Indiana University School of Nursing at IUPUI. A $16 million gift from IU Health will grow the school's undergraduate enrollment by 50% over the next 3 years. The decision to expand the program comes amid the state's nursing shortage that peaked during the height of the pandemic. Meantime, in West Lafayette, the monthly Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer improved 8 points in April. Some good news there, but it still remains more than 30% different than that sentiment was a year ago. It was much higher about a year ago. Farmers are still showing less confidence than last year. The monthly Purdue University CME Group Ag Barometer improved by those 8 points in April. However, it remains 32% below its April 2021 reading. Still ahead, a bold strategy to combat brain drain in Indiana. We'll head to South Bend to check in on In Focus to see what they're doing to keep Hoosier talent from crossing state lines. Well, In Focus was started about a decade ago to bring a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit to northern Indiana. The South Bend-based nonprofit connects recent graduates with local organizations to tackle tough challenges while also focusing on its mission to attract, develop, and retain talent in the region. With more on In Focus, the model, and its impact, I'm pleased to welcome to the show In Focus Executive Director Andrew Wyand. And Andrew, welcome. Congratulations on 10 years.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. I remember when you launched, and it doesn't seem like it's been 10 years ago, but it has. Give me the model, because the whole brain drain thing has been an issue facing the state for many, many years. There have been a variety of attempts to keep talent in the state. How does In Focus do it?
Sure, and recognizing that we had a lot of lessons learned from other models and things, but ultimately, how do you inspire folks to want to come to Indiana and our communities? And so our thought was purpose. And so the way the model works is that we hire recent graduates under In Focus as 2-year innovation fellows. And we actually place them on projects in the community that are focused with the regional organizations, and they get to work with the leaders in these organizations to solve their toughest challenges. So not only is it a leadership opportunity, but it also helps make a real world impact. And another carrot and an incentive for the graduates is they get a percentage of time to work on either an entrepreneurial endeavor or a social program or a social issue that they might be passionate about. So we work on projects, we help them solve community issues, and we give them some time to create things of their own. And that has really been working for us over the past 10 years.
The proverbial win-win situation. But looking at recent grads, you are from Notre Dame, Purdue, University of Michigan, University of Chicago. You're getting some great talent.
Sure.
And these companies and organizations get to see that talent too as they work on various projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the project-based model obviously gets to solve real problems. There's a real ROI for that for the organization. But really the broader value proposition is that they get to not only see the skills grow from the talent, but there maybe that's a vehicle for hiring after the project. And whether it be as a result of the work or really the relationships built over time in the community, our graduates are finding jobs, and really over 70% of them, and about 150 fellowships to date, have stayed in the area.
Wow, yeah, so real impact. And the idea kind of percolated between you and maybe half dozen of your fellow students, right?
Sure.
Were you in grad school at Notre Dame?
Grad school at the time. So in 2012, we were graduating from the university's STEAM program, which was a newer program that is focused on commercializing technology from the university. That's grown into other things within Notre Dame. But we saw kind of an inspiration in the Raleigh-Durham area, Research Triangle Park. And as we had thought about what this could be in the local community, we pitched this to a few local leaders, formed a board, convinced the early organizations to work on the projects. And in that first year, actually a lot of the organizations who saw value in the project said, we would like to hire you all. And so we thought, why don't we do this each year, grow it, and scale it not only across organizations, but across some of our northern Indiana communities, and that's where we are today.
Yeah. You've had a real impact over 10 years, but I know you've got big plans. You've got a big vision for where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years.
Sure. So we think ultimately Northern Indiana has been fantastic to us. There are still opportunities for growth and what we call depth to grow the model in the region. But our vision is to be a national model for talent attraction and innovation. And so how might we look at in the next 3 to 5 years, Indiana as an opportunity? What other communities might we be seeking to grow? And thinking nationally beyond that, we want to have good growth, but want to be steady to our vision. So maybe in 10 years, we're even bolder.
Very interesting model attacking the brain drain here in Indiana and ultimately beyond. Andrew Wyand is the executive director at InFocus. Andrew, congratulations on the success and good luck going forward.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, I had the power of social media, a TikTok video that went viral, and how it sent sales soaring for a Central Indiana woman-owned hygiene company. Just a few weeks ago, Indianapolis-based startup Sunny posted a TikTok video that unexpectedly went viral. And now orders are exploding for its hygiene care product created by 2 young female entrepreneurs. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more. Kylie.
Thank you, Gary. Sunny has designed a menstrual cup, and unlike others on the market, it comes with an applicator. When the young female duo posted the TikTok video that went viral, Sunny racked up $130,000 in sales in just 5 days. Joining me now to tell us more is Sunny co-founder and Chief Executive Officer Cindy Bellardo. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy
All
to
right.
be here.
So talking about periods can be a little taboo. So we're going to get this out of the way right out of the gate. Talk about why it needs to be normalized to talk about it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I never imagined a career in periods, but it's now my everyday, and half the population will have a period at some point in their life. So we're on a mission just to normalize it and make it easier to talk about.
All right, so let's talk about Sunny, your product. There are other menstrual cups on the market, but yours is different. So explain what makes Sunny different.
Absolutely. So yeah, my co-founder Drew Jarvis and myself met up and we're innovating upon this idea of a menstrual cup. And both of us had experiences of it not being very easy to insert for beginners. And so that's what we've made here, the first beginner-friendly menstrual cup that inserts like a tampon.
Okay, and we have to talk about your TikTok video too, because you posted this TikTok video and then everything just kind of exploded. Tell us what happened after you posted this video.
Yeah, so we did an explainer video just about 3 weeks ago, and it went viral, thousands of people watching, and we've continued on because people asked us, when could we buy this thing? And we essentially launched our pre-orders, and as you saw, like, sales are through the roof, and people are very excited about this easier to use, saves you money, eco-friendly product.
Okay, so when you posted the video, you were kind of gobsmacked. You didn't think, you didn't know this was going to go viral, right?
Absolutely, yeah. This was all a surprise. We were just riding that wave and so excited that our idea and dream has really turned into reality.
And you weren't selling product at that point, right? You basically opened pre-orders.
Correct.
Because the response was so big?
Yeah, because everyone was asking us, we turned around and launched the pre-order page.
Okay, very cool. All right, so let's talk about your Give Back program. That's a really important piece to your company, also to your target audience. So talk about the Give Back piece.
Absolutely. So with Sunny, we're a self-care brand delivering menstrual cups and other eco-friendly products. But our big mission and why Drew and I got started in the first place was really to help end period poverty. So we are already donating a portion of our proceeds to nonprofits that help donate to people in need, so experiencing homelessness or incarceration. We ensure that everybody has access because we believe that's a human basic right.
And talk just a little bit about the eco-friendly piece of this. What makes Sunny more eco-friendly than other products?
Yeah, so compared to tampons, you'll use 15,000 in one period's lifetime, and the menstrual cup can replace 528 tampons for every one use. And this is a reusable product for about a year.
Okay, so we have about 30 seconds left. What's next? The TikTok success happened. You've launched pre-orders. Sort of where do you go from here?
Yeah, so we're really excited. We're working very hard to fulfill these pre-orders, shipping by the end of this year. And we'll keep everyone up to date on our website and our social media.
Okay, and I want to mention you won the Elevate Ventures pitch competition in 2021, working toward a $750,000 seed round right now. So good luck with all the growth and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Gerry, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kylie. Well, Indianapolis-based TMAP and its Make My Move platform have released an inaugural list of the best fully remote places to work. And a Hamilton County company tops the list. Fishers-based Hubstaff is a workforce and project management platform with more than 90 remote workers in 28 countries. Make My Move matches remote workers to cities and towns that are incentivizing relocations. To develop the list, Make My Move used a variety of best employers lists and websites, including Glassdoor.com. It's time now for Eye on Education. Well, for a kid, there's nothing quite like that sound of the final school bell. For parents, though, it can sometimes trigger stress if their kids don't have anything to do after school. Now, Indianapolis Public Schools families have a new option when it comes to getting their kids involved in extracurricular activities. IPS partnering with Indianapolis-based After School HQ to give parents a new tool to access what's out there for their kids to do once the school day ends. And for more on how the program works and the partnership, pleased to be joined by After School HQ CEO and co-founder Darye Henry. And Darye, welcome to the program.
All right, thanks for having me.
Hey, let's talk about After School HQ, a SaaS platform, essentially, that's been around now for 5 years or so. Talk about the model and what After School HQ is all about.
Yeah, what we really do, so we focus on getting more kids in after-school programs to enable them to really explore and find their passion and purpose. So, but our platform is really just simply about enabling schools and other youth-serving organizations put their programs online. Makes it much easier for parents to find, register, and pay for programs.
What I thought was interesting in some of the research, Indiana is the 4th lowest state in the country for after-school participation. That surprised me.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising, and it's a number that we want to have an impact on. So what we found is that wherever we deploy our software, we've seen an increase in registrations, and it's because we're just removing all the friction that's involved and just making it really easy for parents to just know what programs are available.
What are the problems now that exist? You talk about the friction points. Is it a lot of paper, a lot of inefficiencies, I guess?
Yeah, and that's really it, right? We have paper flyers going out, right? And let's be real, like a lot of these flyers, they go to die in our kids' backpacks, right? Like you don't see it. And so what happens there, you just aren't aware of it and you just can't get to, getting it done. We're always on our phones and we get so much done electronically. And so we need to get this part of society, right, when education, get that moved up to using electronic and e-services.
All right, let's talk about your new partnership with Indianapolis Public Schools, obviously a major school system here in Indiana. Talk about the partnership and what it means.
Yeah, first of all, it means a lot to me, right? I was a product of IPS, and so it's a chance for me to give back, to basically, give other students the opportunity to do what I did when I was in IPS, right? I got to participate in after-school programs. That's how I found my passion of entrepreneurship, technology, and so this is a chance to give back with impact. And so we're going to be, deploying this to all schools in IPS, and then ultimately we hope to have that impact and be able to measure what that is in a few years.
Yeah, is it especially important coming out of COVID here and the learning loss that certainly happened during that period of time as well?
Yeah, exactly. That's 100% it. There was so much learning loss. Kids were virtual. It's just not the optimal learning experience. And so IPS is investing, right, in their students and their staff and ultimately in our communities. And so we just want to take advantage of that and give, again, kids opportunities to learn.
Yeah. After school HQ expanding with a big partnership with Indianapolis Public Schools. I know you're also expanding outside of Indiana, Louisiana, North Carolina, some other places as well. Daria Henry, thanks very much for joining us and good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, she just couldn't say no. Coming up next, legendary women's basketball coach Lynn Dunn joins us to talk about why she is back with the Indiana Fever.
Never a dull moment with Lynn.
I don't care if she gets a layup, but I don't want her to get a three. All right, now let's go. All right, let's be smarter.
Lynn Dunn taking that leadership voice from the huddle to the front office for her old team, the Indiana Fever. Well, 10 years after coaching the Indiana Fever to the WNBA championship, Lynn Dunn is back, hoping to assemble another championship caliber team. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Gerry, thanks. And as the Fever embark on their 23rd WNBA season, including Sunday's Gainbridge Fieldhouse opener against the LA Sparks, they will do so with an unprecedented 4 first-round draft choices selected by Dunn in her role as interim general manager. And we're pleased to be joined by Lynn. And Lynn, welcome back to Indy.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's great to be back.
Well, and I have to start out by asking you what led you back to take on this role, and how interim is the interim tag?
Well, first of all, surprise, surprise, surprise. I thought I'd retired, but I believe when Tamika decided unexpectedly to step down that she wanted to go in a different direction with her career. Maybe they were caught a little bit off guard, and so they probably just reached out to somebody that they thought still had a great deal of love for the Fever, which I do. And when Rick Fuson called me and said, "Here's the situation, could you help us out?" and I just couldn't say no. I've loved the Fever. I invested many, many years here, and loved working with Rick and Pacer Sports and Entertainment, Jim Morris, Kelly Crosskopf. So I said, okay, I'll help you out as long as you need me, but not sure how long that'll be. An interim could be another week. It could be another year. It could be 2 years until we can just get this franchise back on track.
Well, and starting to get it back on track, you walked into a situation, as we mentioned, unprecedented 4 first-round draft choices led by Nalissa Smith with the number 2 draft choice overall. And you have to be tremendously excited about being able to bring in this rookie class.
Well, Bill, there's nothing fun about losing. The only reward you get is a high draft pick. And so with that high draft pick, number 2 in the draft, we were able to select Nalissa Smith from Baylor, who a lot of people felt like could have gone 1. So either whether she went 1 or 2, we were prepared for that situation. She is an exceptional player. She's going to have a huge impact on this franchise. Hopefully she'll be the face of the franchise in the future. But our ability to make some other trades and get, 4 first-round draft picks and rebuild this franchise with young players, I think is historic.
Lynn, talk about as the season begins at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but you will be moving on because of construction at the Fieldhouse to the Indiana Farmers Coliseum and then wrapping up at Hinkle Fieldhouse. I mean, that's kind of the grand tour.
Well, it's challenging, and we understand that we're in the third and final phase of the full renovation of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and it's absolutely gorgeous now. But when they finish this last phase, it's just going to be one of the best facilities, not only in America, but in the world. And so we understand we'll be able to play some of our games here, some at the Coliseum, and then a few at historic Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then this time next year, we'll be home and we'll be settled. And we'll be moving forward. So we're not going to worry about things like that. All we're going to focus on is how these rookies are going to get better, from beginning of practice to end of practice.
Hey, Lynn, as we wrap up quickly, the 10th anniversary of the WNBA championship team will take place May 22nd at the Fieldhouse, and that has to be very exciting to bring that group back together for another salute.
It's very exciting, and we're thrilled to find out that almost 99% of all the players, staff that participated in that championship season will be back for the game on May 22nd. We hope the fans will come back. Everyone will be here to really enjoy the 10th anniversary of our WNBA championship.
Well, we look forward to seeing the Fever play under Hall of Famer Mary Ann Stanley. And Lynn, thanks for being on the program. We wish you nothing but the best going forward.
Thank you, Bill. It's great to see you again.
You're good seeing you. And Gerry, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, the guy on the Fever play-by-play when Lynn Dunn led the team to the WNBA championship in 2012, Chris Denary. He's my guest on the next Business and Beyond podcast. Denary was in his early 20s when he started his broadcasting career at WPDS in Indianapolis. Nearly 40 years later, his resume includes 18 seasons as the voice of the Fever, 16 seasons doing TV play-by-play for the Indiana Pacers, and 20 years on the radio call in Turn 4 at the Indy 500. Sports has been in Denary's blood. His dad, Bob, coached basketball for years. Chris actually wound up playing for him at Westfield High School.
It was really special to play for him because I had sat on the bench for so long as a kid. I had watched him coach, and there was just something special about, being a coach's son and having that opportunity to play. There's also a lot of pressure. You better be good. You better make it easy on your dad to have you out on the floor.
Much more with Pacers play-by-play TV announcer Chris Denary on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast. And you can find it starting Monday at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Well, the multi-million-dollar transformation of downtown Greenwood is starting to take shape. And Eli Lilly and Company with big expectations for its new diabetes and weight loss drug. Those are just some of the stories our partners at the IBJ are working on this week. Let's get right to it with IBJ News Editor Mason King, who comes to us from the IBJ newsroom. Mason, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. How you doing?
Good. This transformation really of downtown Greenwood has been talked about for a long time. $83 million, and as I said, really beginning to take shape.
Yeah, the city has been into trying to modernize and change its downtown to make it a more attractive place to be. They want more rental housing. They want more restaurants. They want more amenities. So this project, which has so many different facets to it, has hundreds of apartment units, dozens of townhomes and condos. Opening Friday, they have a 65,000 square foot sports facility for the community to use.
Wow. Yeah. So really, as I said, been talked about for a long time. Greenwood, one of a number of central Indiana communities really taking another look at its downtown. Lilly's diabetes and weight loss drug, again, creating a bunch of buzz. And there's some expectation this could be a multi-billion-dollar revenue generator.
That's right. Yeah. Some analysts are looking at tirzepatide having the potential of generating $5 billion a year in revenue. It certainly brings it, quintuple blockbuster status, if you will. And it sounds like science fiction. Some of the clinical trials have found that it can help patients lose as much as 22% of their body weight.
Wow. That is amazing. Okay, one more story I want to touch on. Our local building requirements driving up home prices. I know there's a state commission that's been put together to really take a look at that.
Yeah, the state is really interested in improving the affordability of housing in Indiana. One of the ways that you can do that is taking a look at the different requirements that counties and local municipalities have for builders. For example, architectural requirements or the impact fees that they would charge. The state wants to take a close look at those things. They've created a 13-member panel to kind of explore that entire issue of cost.
Very good. Mason King from the IBJ Newsroom with just some of the stories in this week's edition of the Indianapolis Business Journal. Mason, as always, thank you and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Cook Manufacturing setting up shop in an impoverished Indianapolis neighborhood. Our insiders sound off on the potential long-term impact. Well, as we told you at the top of the hour this week, Bloomington-based Cook Medical is putting its footprint in a socioeconomically challenged Indianapolis neighborhood. Now, what does it mean beyond the jobs and investment? A lot. And our insiders are here to weigh in on that and more. And I'm very happy to be joined in person by International School of Indiana Head of School, Elizabeth Head. Also, Winston Terrell Group President Robin Winston. And the leader of Harmless Consulting, Mike Harmless. And welcome one and all to the Insiders.
Thank you.
We'll begin with the Cook Medical story, which I think is an interesting story for so many reasons. One, investment, $15 million. Ultimately could mean 200 jobs, Robin, but near northeast side of Indianapolis, the focus goes of what Cook is trying to do there goes far beyond the jobs and investment.
Well, it's tremendous. It's a public-private partnership. You've talked about Akila Darden and what she's done on recruiting ex-PE firms to be part of the process. It'll rejuvenate the neighborhood, create jobs. A grocery is going to be part of it. Goodwill Industries is involved. I mean, it's the perfect synergy to make a difference in a neighborhood.
Yeah, Elizabeth, as you look at that, companies are always looking for ways to make a difference in communities like that. This is something I think that is really potentially long-lasting, long-term, because they're employing people from the community. The grocery store ultimately is going to be run and owned, I think, by two local entrepreneurs, so it's really a great story.
The key word here is access. Access, because what it does is it allows people in the community to have access to resources that will truly benefit their lives. So they're partnering together to give back to the community, as well as the community benefiting from that partnership. So access is key here. Really proud of what Indiana's doing with that partnership.
Yeah. Mike, another part of town, downtown, specifically across the street from Gainbridge Fieldhouse, kind of near east side of the downtown area, $250 million two-tower project announced, an investment group led by Herb Simon. Big project, and part of what's going to be a really dramatic makeover of that part of town.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always very enjoyable to reflect on what the Simons have done for this community. Their loyalty, Herb and Mel, they have just been so loyal. The Pacers, this investment is just going to be spectacular, and it's really going to change that whole venue and what that area of town looks like. So congratulations to Herb Simon again.
Yeah. Robin, does it shift a little bit, just kind of the center of activity downtown, if you will? You've got the convention center, obviously, then you come east, toward Gainbridge, the sporting events, the things that are going to happen there with the skating rink and all the outdoor activities there.
Right. It's going to make that whole area sizzle. Don't forget, right down the street, the City County building is going to have a completely new redevelopment there. Obviously, the former jail will have a redevelopment. That area that used to be a sleepy part of our city will be a sizzling part of our city.
Yeah. Another part of the Indiana economy that is sizzling and has continued to do so for some time is the ag biotech sector in Indiana. Big news this week, Tech secured $60 million in funding that was just announced this week. A really big deal for them, the West Lafayette-based company, a Brazilian company that initially they said we're going to put our North American headquarters here. They say we're going to move the whole deal here, Elizabeth.
This is really important for Indiana. Indiana has to continue to keep the momentum of attracting foreign investment, foreign recruitment of talent for the workforce development issue. Indiana wants to stand out on the U.S. map for global industry. That's why we have an International School of Indiana. It's why we have an international center. It's why we have international routes at our airport. So this type of foreign investment, this type of commitment to Indiana is what Indiana has to continue to do to help the mission of the state thrive.
Interested in your take too. The Global Economic Summit, the first ever here in Indiana, taking place race weekend essentially in Indianapolis. 800 people are registered. They're cutting off registration. They've got the former CEO of Google. They've got I think 24 ambassadors from around the world coming here. The global spotlight is going to be on Indiana.
Exactly, because this is one of the key components of why Indiana is a great place to live and work within the United States. They've attracted numerous different countries to attend. People, as you mentioned, 800 people plus. And what it does is it makes the focus on Indiana be so important of we're more than just one of the 50 states. We're a place where the world wants to be.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, it's interesting. Went down to the Derby several years ago. Was on the Derby train, and they were entertaining CEOs from I don't know how many different companies. I am so pleased that Indiana is highlighting the Indianapolis 500, bringing all these people to our state so that they can see not only the 500, but see all the other amenities and how hot Indianapolis is and how much is going on. Purdue's doing a great job, IU's doing a great job. We just need to keep our focus on economic development.
Yeah, as you look at that, Robin, and you've been around for a long time, as I have. I mean, Indiana seems to be its presence on a global stage seems to be getting some momentum.
Well, and think about the airport. There's a reason that we have a FedEx here because of the moderate weather. So I hope that it impresses upon those CEOs you can get in here. You can get in here to the best rated airport in the country, time and time again. You have excellent hospitality, and the kind of stories you're talking about, they'll be seeing the fruition of them.
Yeah, yeah. Another interesting story this week, the best firms to work remotely released this week, a Fishers-based company, Hubstaff. This company in Fishers has 90 remote workers in 28 countries. So very interesting. But the state of Indiana or different organizations really trying to get remote workers to live here.
Well, this is the beauty, right? People living on the coast, expensive, high cost of living. Now, if you work remotely, which that's here to stay, they can choose where do I want to live, work, where do I want to raise my family? And so they're looking at states like Indiana. If you look at a school like ours, we've had an influx of families coming from the coast because they say, I want to live in a state to raise my family well, good cost of living, wonderful environment, great amenities, and it doesn't matter where my employer is. I get to be where I choose to be. And Indiana can really capitalize on this by attracting these families.
Yeah, yeah.
And firms that are not adopting this new approach to their employees are losing those employees because the employee is looking at their family and their time at work and their time off work, and so it's really smart strategy right now to be very thoughtful about your employees.
Well, and Mike, you and I both know from national politics, our friends between the Boston to Washington corridor and the San Francisco to LA corridor would never think that this would be in Indiana. And I think they'd fail a lot of trivia questions if you ask, but we know the answer, and it's a tremendous answer.
Yeah. Lots happening in and around Indiana. Great to have the insiders back in person, in studio. Robin Winston, Elizabeth Head, and Mike Harmless. Thank you one and all, and we'll be right back after this. That's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gerry Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.